Hello, I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director and Founder of ESS BIZTOOLS. Welcome to the ESS BIZTOOLS Accountants Minute podcast. And in this commentary, we are celebrating the issue number 400 of Accountants Minute. Yes, we've been producing these Accountants Minute articles for quite a number of years now, and I hope that you've enjoyed them. If you want to go back through past editions, you can access them on our website. And if you're having trouble on finding any particular one, just send us an email, please, peter@essbiztools.com.au. Now let's get down to serious business, because in the 400th edition of Accountants Minute, we have some crucial matters to discuss with accountants, bookkeepers, and business advisors. Implementing advisory services that will make a real difference to your SME clients, to your accounting team, and to your accountancy, bookkeeping, or business advisory firm is vital. And now is the time to start as we celebrate the 400th edition. It's time to diversify your services. Step into your power as a trusted advisor and help your clients thrive with financial forecasting and virtual CFO support. You might ask, why are we talking about this in particular now? Well, it's been an issue that we have been developing within our ESS BIZTOOLS articles, not only in Accountants Minute, but in our other communications to the marketplace for months. But let's just look at a couple of issues. Compliance work as we know it today will disappear before the end of this decade, or perhaps even earlier. These were the comments made by Mark Wickersham, a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants and the principal of Value Pricing Academy, which is based in London. Mark Wickersham is an interesting gentleman. He's an Australian, and he was the proprietor of an accountancy firm in Sydney. And in 1999, he took stock of his life, according to his story, that he shared with us during the very interesting AI webinars that were conducted 2 weeks ago. Mark indicated that he was working extremely long hours. He was earning less than what it was costing him to employ his accountants that he had working for him, and he decided he had to do something about it. So he went to a seminar and met Paul Dunn and became very interested in the value pricing concept. And as Mark says, the rest is history. He sold his accountancy firm and went overseas, studied what was happening, and has now got this thriving business, Value Pricing Academy, and he is a senior consultant for ChatGPT. He's very enthusiastic about the benefits of AI for accountants, bookkeepers, business advisors, indeed all business operators. But let's come back to the key points that he said. Compliance work as we know it today will disappear before the end of this decade. And then as what looked like an aside comment, he said, or perhaps even earlier. This is a member of our profession who was in practice, who decided that he could not cope with running into the brick walls any longer. He wanted to change things. Incidentally, he indicated that when he did change to value pricing, his clients stuck with him. No one complained. He explained what he was doing. He was no longer charging them by the hour. He was giving them a proposal and a quotation. Exactly what we have always said within ESS BIZTOOLS, especially for advisory work. But why should taxation work be any different? Mark gave the example of a tradesman, a plumber. A plumber doesn't walk in and say, well, okay, I don't know what it's going to cost, but I'm going to charge you $190 an hour for this work, and it might take 5 hours, it might take 50 hours. Businesses don't work that way normally. He said we've got to be able to give proposals and quotations and meet the changing circumstances. It was also interesting then to revisit what the former tax commissioner said at Xerocon in 2022, and that date's very important. Please remember it, 2022, August, if my memory serves me correctly. If your business model is high volume, low margin, and focused on simple tax returns, it will not be viable in 3 to 5 years' time, is what Chris Jordan, the then tax commissioner and a former partner of a top 4 firm, had to say. Fast forward that timeline to today. That timeline is no longer 3 to 5 years. It's 6 to 30 months. And when I listened to what Mark Wickersham had to say, I thought, I think it's here now. There's changes right on our doorstep. And Mark Wickersham, an experienced chartered accountant practice operator, not a big firm, sole practitioner operating in the suburbs of Sydney, believes that all of the current work, the compliance work as of today, will disappear by the end of this decade, or perhaps even earlier. I think now is really the time to face up to it, that additional services are needed. And what are they? Many firms already offer financial planning and audits and perhaps some other activities. But the big one that is left in the middle all the time is the traditional work for accountants. Being the key advisor to the chief executive, whatever title that person may have, owner, general manager, chief executive officer, boss. The accountant's role in businesses as they grow is to be the key financial advisor. And that tends to cover other things also, company secretary, corporate governance. In fact, in my history, I was the chief financial officer and company secretary of a listed public company. And I found that anything that the boss, the CEO, couldn't allocate to any other member of the leadership team, and there were 10 or 12 others, seemed to come to my desk. Sometimes it was legal matters, and I'd just go out to a legal firm and get an opinion on that particular matter. But it was as if we were the sorting house. Can you get me this answer? Every day I got questions about costings, about markets. Could we change what we're doing? What if we did it this way? What's the cost of this? What's the problem going to be if we allow a group of debtors to delay their payments for another week? What's the cash flow impact of that? We might undertake a major research and development project. What's it going to cost? Oh, I don't know, was the answer I got. Might be $500,000. And I said, well, I'll look at what the cash flow effect's going to be. Oh, I never thought of that, was the response I got initially. So there's a lot of issues that your clients need to discuss. But unfortunately, as a profession, we haven't really said to the SMEs, that's the type of role that accountants can provide, because all they ever think of is that 3-letter word, tax, because that's all we've really talked to them about. So the future is knocking on your door now. It is time for changes, because not every SME is going to commission firms of accountants or bookkeepers to undertake advisory services. Unfortunately, that won't occur. It should, but it won't. And unfortunately, a lot of those firms, I think, will disappear. Our failure rate is far too high in Australia. Our SME clients are in all sorts of difficulties. And we have a federal government that doesn't seem to worry about them. For the last 16 years, we have prepared a special edition of Business Plus, our newsletter we prepare for our subscribers to send to their clients to communicate to them their interest as accountants in offering commercial services to their clients. For the first time in 16 years, I had trouble in writing that special edition of Business Plus on the federal budget as it affects SMEs. There wasn't much in there for SMEs, was there? The government seems more intent on trying to encourage everyone to be members of unions rather than thinking about the issues confronting SMEs. They passed some legislation that's going to name and shame big businesses with turnovers over $100 million. They're not paying their debtors' accounts within the stipulated time, 30 days. But is that going to work? I don't think so. So our SME clients need assistance. And to be honest, I've looked around the whole landscape of who is involved with businesses, lawyers, marketing consultants, computer designers, web designers, accountants. I can't think of anyone other than accountants who have had the training and have got the resources. We've got the computer systems. We are able to produce the annual set of accounts to facilitate the tax return. We've just got to move forward and understand that businesses are operating 52 weeks of the year, daily, weekly, monthly. So our philosophy is to encourage you to adopt the 52-week business enhancement system, which is built around this concept of daily, weekly, monthly. Daily, a brief report to the leadership team. It might only have on it what happened yesterday, what problems emerged yesterday. That's number one. Number two, what were the statistics from yesterday? Number of sales, number of customers, average sale, gross profit percentage, yield percentage, if you're in a business that's calculating yields, and whatever else is important to that particular business. It might be the bank balance, the debtors balance, and the major bills that are going to get paid this week, which might be the wake-up call to the leadership team members to actually go and see those customers who they were allocated to see in the last week's leadership team meeting to make sure they pay their bills, because the business is going to need it because of these looming debts. Now, I don't expect accountants to be out there every day ensuring that that system works, but you need to design it. You need to know who is going to attend to that work in the client's premises. You need to make sure that person's trained. And most definitely, you need to make sure that you are on the distribution channel, that you receive a copy of the report, and that someone in your organization reads it and reacts, saying, gee, the average sale is normally up around $30. It's only come in at $8.60 today or yesterday. What does that mean? What caused that drop? Because that's management. But management needs prompting. At this stage, management might not realise that's what's happened. We only achieved an average sale of $8.60 yesterday. Why? What happened? Now, if it was teeming rain and people couldn't get out, and we only got the people that live next door that only come in every day and so they don't spend much, it is up to us as accountants in working for organisations to supply that data. Probably not really to solve the problem in most cases. But if you work for a larger organisation, That's what you would be doing every day. You'd be saying, gee, what caused that? Your clients need that same system. And that's when we move on to weekly. I learned when I joined the public company, because I'd been an accountancy firm before, we'd been doing with SMEs, primarily concentrating on the preparation of annual accounts and tax returns, but not solely, because I worked in a firm and I was responsible to a partner who was company secretary to about 5 or 6 public companies in a regional city. It was before all the consolidations took place. So he was the company secretary of the local television station. He was the company secretary of the crematorium. He was company secretary and he decided I could do with some training in this area. He was looking for one of his team that was going to be, in effect, the company secretary. It was the greatest training I ever had at that stage, because I did a couple of years of that. And then 4 years later, I was the company secretary of a public company. And I often thanked Cole Raines, the guy that trained me, who roused on me a few times when things weren't done right, and stressed to me the need to make sure the information flowed to the directors and the leadership team of our client was spot on. It was prompt, it was on time, and it was accurate, because they were making decisions based on that information. I took that same strategy then into a public company environment, where it was very obvious to me, because I was in there, in the scrum, in effect, with the other leadership team members. And I realised how important this information flow was. And we need to appreciate that also. Now, not everyone that I'm talking to has had the luck or ability to secure a couple of these positions that I've had. But I hope to try to encourage you to think about these things, because I have thought for many hours about what's the difference between how a big company operates and our SME clients. And the big thing, the real difference, is this treating of information. That information is very important. It's important that there's a row if it's an hour late on a daily basis, because the CEO set his agenda for the day. He gets these reports at certain times, because he's then onto the phone. The year I was talking about, we didn't have this communication. He would have had great time with this. So we need to make sure our clients have this information. The weekly profitability and performance reports are vital for each business operation, not all lumped together on a consolidated basis, because management wants to find out how we performed last week. The big end of town do it. The whole meat industry does it. IGA stores, I've consulted to a few of those, and they do it. They might have 40 or 50 departments, but within a day and a half at the end of the week, they've analysed it. They know their gross profit percentages per department. They know their sales averages per department. They know a lot of information, and they know their bottom line. But they really know those business metrics as well. Now, the IGA stores are all franchises. Some are quite big, of course. Some people own quite a number of stores. But there's a lot of sole traders there. They need this information. And they're lucky that generally within their network of franchises, they've learnt the benefit of this, and they have people doing it for them. We need to supply that information to our SME clients to help them run, to help them fix the problem. The example I give you, week 1 of the financial year, business just trades. Sure, the owner probably knows the turnover, and he might know his wages for the week. But in most SMEs, he does not get any further information. But in a big business, an accountant and a few people would have worked together to produce a weekly performance and profitability report for that one business activity. And they will know their gross profit, the average sale, the expenses, the net profit or loss. So, wow, we've suddenly got data that we can compare. Our expectation was, as management, that the gross profit this week would be 38%, or in this period would be 38%. It's only 22%. What went wrong? The average SME doesn't know that. He hasn't calculated the gross profit percentage. He hasn't got time. He's worried about today's problems. But we need, and this has not been the historian, which I'm opposed to accountants being treated as and actually doing. We need to be thinking of the future. What we're doing is analysing what went wrong so we can make sure it doesn't happen tomorrow and next week. Because in our SME clients, that problem could stay there. Started in week 1 of the financial year, right through the financial year. And then how many months after the financial year ends is it before you prepare an annual set of accounts and a tax return? 6 months? So here we are up over 70, maybe nearly 80 weeks after that problem occurred. Now, I'm not saying that every problem is going to continue week after week, but some of them can. There's been a mistake somewhere and it's just carried on. No one said anything. No one corrected it. It could be in a calculation, in a computer program. It could be on anything, but it's carried forward. It made a difference of 16% on turnover on the example I gave you, 38% down to 22%. So the client comes in to see you to go through the annual accounts and he said, geez, your performance wasn't too good this year. If you noticed anything, he said, oh, yeah, the bank balance was down a bit, but I thought it was because our debtors might have gone up. But he doesn't really know. If you asked him what his debtors' days outstanding was, he might not know that. But you say, well, there's been some other issues because for the year, instead of being up around 38, you're down around 23, 24 for the year. It's too late then to go back and do anything about it, isn't it? It's too late to try to fix it. It could have been fraud also. It could have been anything. It could have been that there's been overcharging by suppliers on their products and no one's picked it up. It could have been all sorts of problems. But if it was analysed weekly, it would have been determined and fixed. If it's fraud, the police might have been called in. If it was overcharging by the supplier, you would have had that discussion, which might have not been too friendly, but nevertheless, it would have been fixed. I think that's the challenge we've got as accountants. And in the 400th edition of Accountants Minute, I really would ask you to think about it. What type of services are you supplying to your clients? Are they helping your clients survive the challenges in businesses at present? ESS BIZTOOLS packages have been developed over the last 26 years to supply ESS businesses with information that their accountants will prepare. And most of the things we've got, you basically know that already, but what we're giving you is the resources, the forms, the information papers, the videos, so you can communicate with your client, because I know they've got to pay the bills, so they need to know what this is all about. If you're going to increase the bill from $2,000 or $3,000 for preparing an annual set of accounts and a tax return to now being $10,000 to $20,000 because you're sitting in a proper system. So you need the communication with your clients. You need the backup to say, this is what we're going to do. And most clients are happy with that. They know that there's something missing in their business. They observe what's happened to someone who grew a bit bigger and now has an in-house accountant, and gee, they seem to be kicking a lot of goals. They can kick goals as a lot smaller business too, as long as their accounting firm and bookkeeping firm are providing that vital data daily, weekly. And at the end of the month, the activity is to prepare the monthly accounts, do a comparison to budget report, but also give confirmation back to the CEO that the monthly accounts prove that the weeklies were accurate. As I used to walk into our board room in Sydney for our public company meetings, so we had 4 or 5, I think, external directors on our board, and I'd be walking in with the CEO, and he'd say to me, Peter, did the monthlies support the weeklies, prove the weeklies, words to that effect? I'd say, yeah, we've done that analysis. The weeklies were accurate. He'd say, good, because he was running the business on the weeklies. I don't know how closely he read the monthlies, to be honest. He wanted to know that the information had been proven, that so that the weeklies were able to be the key driving force. That is what we need in small business land. And the challenge is for accountants and bookkeepers to make sure that can occur. I'd like to make sure that you know that we have a special webinar on that. I want to issue a personal invitation. I'm just making sure I got the date right, because we did change the time. Daylight saving will be over by the time this starts. On Wednesday, the 9th of April at 11 a.m. AEST. Please register. Please come along. And if you've got any questions, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au, or visit our website, www.essbiztools.com.au, and look at the products and services that we have available to assist you to be the champion of delivering advisory services to your SME clients and helping them to thrive and achieve growth in their businesses. Stay safe. Have a great day.